Hello everybody, this is Show here. Now then, before we begin, I know there is supposed to be an Island event, but that will not happen sadly for this What If. Now, the reason for that being is David Shields' original motives for the, events on the island were because he wanted to restore All Might's quirk, because he was losing power and would have eventually had to retire. However, All Might, in this timeline, that is not the case, since he has made a bit of recovery, and has gotten himself up to around 90 to 70% of his original power. I believe I said 95, so he's barely lost any strength, and he can do hero work continuously. So David Shield would not have the motive to create this piece of technology, focusing more on the gravity tech. Now then, there would still be an event where they all do travel and go to the island and have fun, and actually have a ball. Basically, they actually have a fun instead of having to basically face a dangerous situation. And, I can leave it at that. So they did go to the island, however there was no event where the island was attacked by supervillains. Now then, with that being said, they also did try out gravity tech and more different things. And we will continue. Now, for this is going to be the final exam, so the forest training arc. Now, for this, Deku and everyone, they are hopping onto the bus. And they are actually going. They would be talking and trying to figure out exactly what they're going to be doing. They think that this is just going to be a normal camp, and they are sadly mistaken. Deku and Todoroki, they are listening to music and actually just hanging out. She's trying to think of a certain way that she can help Momo, because Momo seems to be a bit behind. Yeah, she does seem to be physically stronger than everyone. Aside from her quirk, she wants to just say that Bakugo and her might be the other two strongest. But that's sadly wrong, because Kirishima is a good run-in too. So this is actually a bit tricky. Now, Deku would kind of break her concentration, since he's trying to go over the events of the island in his head. It was actually pretty fun, just to hang out and kind of just relax. Not really any whole villains or anything wrong happened. It just was a normal vacation. It was actually quite pleasant. Now, with that being said, they would all walk off the bus as they were given time to stretch their legs. And the pussycats would show up. As soon as Deku does see the other car pull up, he thinks that this is not going to be good, is it? To which he is correct. I do believe it was Pixie Bob who has the quirk that allows her to control Earth. I may be wrong, but I think I'm correct. Now, she would immediately try causing a landslide, as Deku would have grabbed onto Todoroki and jump upwards into the air, as this would surprise the Pussycats. Thinking that that's right, that's All Might's boy, correct? Well, kid. As they would just motion him down, saying that he can't use his quirk for this, or that one. To which he would have just given a thumbs up, lowering himself and Todoroki to the ground, as everyone's trying to recover. Now then, everyone's talking about how this is going to be a bit difficult. Exactly what are they supposed to do? Well, I'm guessing we have to run through the forest, but as there would be a loud sound. this being one of the monsters. Now, as soon as they hear that sound, Deku would immediately just burst into his red aura, turning on the Kaioken, getting ready. He would just tell everyone that this is not going to be easy and just to be careful. We don't know what's in there. As everyone will begin rushing forward. Now, Deku, he would have rushed forward and he would actually begin fighting with the creatures inside. As he starts throwing some of them through trees and doing whatever he can, just using the Kaioken. After hearing that they have 2 hours, he would have thought he needs to speed things up a bit. Cocking back his arm and blasting as much power forward as he thinks he needs to. Basically giving them a straight path. But that's not going to be the case, and that's not going to be that easy. They know exactly how strong these two are, so they littered the forest with these beasts. So it's actually going to be a lot more difficult than they thought. Especially because they did Deku and Todoroki a favor. They created monsters, then bigger monsters, and then what you can best describe as a 3-pointer version. Basically, it's like going through the entrance exam all over again. Because things just keep getting bigger. Now, they would have eventually arrived at camp, barely within the 2-hour portion. And I want to say Deku, he was holding back. He was trying to focus on using his quirk, and One for All could be a second priority. Since, in this amount of time, he's been able to boost himself up to times 40 for a second. And has actually somewhat discovered it. The form's very, very hard to maintain and hold, but he knows it's there. And he thinks he knows what they're here for. Training. Now then, with that being said, everyone, they would be given raw cooking material. And while they are sitting down to eat, Aizawa will be giving an explanation, saying that this training, however, it's going to be a bit more difficult for them. Not only is it going to be quirk training, but it's also going to be about physicals training. Thanks to the help of All Might and Endeavor, along with the collaboration with David Shields and the Yayorozu Corporation, they were able to create a new specialized chamber, indoor gravity room. They supplied us with quite a number actually. So, please do proceed with caution, and understand. Some of these levels, they are going to be a lot more difficult. However, as he would just motion to Deku and Todoroki saying that these two, they can guide you through them, and can tell you about the physical strain. As Deku and Todoroki begin to talk about it, saying that you might just need to slowly work your way up. If you try to jump from 1 to 5, you'll be stuck on the ground. And going over it more and more, while Momo gives the explanation about what the robots are and how they work. Now, I want to say that this training would actually benefit Class 1A, as a lot of them would be in gravity chambers that can go up to times 50 to around times 100, while Deku and Todoroki, they're training in a heavy-duty one. This one is something Dave is a bit proud of, because he's been able to push the physical limits of gravity even more. In fact, it can go up to 400 times Earth's normal gravity, which is quite insane. Since, well, you kinda can't push yourself that hard without something happening. Now, with that being said, they would all be training, as Deku and Todoroki, they are somewhat split up. Deku's training is to hold his Kaioken for as much as possible. Basically charge up One for All, and hold his Kaioken form. As his body, his muscle fibers would rip and tear, and somewhat heal. For a second, basically giving his stamina time to recuperate, and then doing this over and over and over again. As Deku basically brings himself to the Kaioken times 40, holds it for about 2 minutes, and drops out of it. Very, very, very exhausted. Now, With that being said, Todoroki and Momo, they would be working a bit harder. They would be training in around, I want to say 50 times Earth's gravity, and Momo actually is a bit better at this. Her weight training has somewhat paid off. So, she's actually been able to stand up in this, instead of just falling onto the ground. Now, this is where Momo, she does still have trouble with it, basically just standing there a bit with her body just somewhat trying to stay up, but she would have turned down the gravity a little, so it wouldn't be all that bad. Now, everyone else in Class 1A, they are having massive struggles with this, however, and they would have all gotten up to around times 10 to 15, along with training their quirks is a bit more difficult. Since you have Sarah who can throw his tape out the door or onto the ground, I could see Mina and Jiro having the most difficulty, however. Mina having to spray acid and Jiro having to use her earphone jacks to throw things outward, or will stab them into something. Anyways, that would be the end of that. Now, this is where we are going to be going over to the actual attack. After these 2 weeks, everyone would have been able to actually go up a bit higher as Deku. He's actually been able to acclimate himself to 200 times Earth's gravity, with minimal strain on his body. There is still strain, but it's just that he can actually move around a bit comfortably with the Kaioken. Only at times 1 now, instead of at times 3 like before. So, this is where Deku, him and Todoroki will be sent through the forest, as they are waiting for Class 1B to try and scare everyone, or scare them. Deku, he would have gotten an odd feeling in his guts. Something doesn't feel right. This place feels a bit too quiet. Now, before that can even, his thought can even come out of his head, he feels a ringing in his ears, and his nose starts to bleed, as awful would appear in front of him. Deku, he is pissed off. However, this time, he's not the only one having this trouble. Todoroki is like that too, and he can actually see her nose bleeding. And she's staring exactly where he is. Deku would have rushed forward, trying to throw a punch at him. Todoroki actually seeing exactly what he's doing this time. What the hell? Wait, you can see him? Well, hero. I'm not even surprised. Watch, you're gonna throw a punch one day and hit the wrong person. Listen, we have a bit of a plan. And I'm wondering something. Exactly what do you owe your father? I owe him a lot. Well, anyways, we need you alive. Come with us, we won't kill anyone here. Really, you're not going to kill anyone here. I beg to differ. As this figure of All for One would turn his head, and Deku would see fire peeking out from the forest. They're being attacked. As he would look back, and All for One would have disappeared. No, Todoroki, she would turn to him saying, "What the hell was that?" To which Deku would say that was the man in the mask. Now, Deku, he begins to smell smoke. This is bad. This is very, very bad. He then tells Todoroki that she needs to head into class. Well, she needs to. Head into the forest and try and find 1B. And the rest of 1A. I'm going to go try and find people. As Deku would take flight. Now, as soon as Deku starts to fly through the forest, he actually just hears a message in his head. They cannot find Koda. So, exactly where is this kid at? Now, Deku, he would hear this message as he starts to fly around. He sees a cliffside, and he sees something moving down there. So he decides to fly down. He would have landed seeing Koda as he tells them that they need to hurry. It's not safe here. As he would have picked up Koda and the two would begin to run. Now, Deku, he's running and he's about to take flight, but before that can even happen, Muscular would arrive directly in front of Deku. Deku, he would actually have to somewhat slow down and actually try and bring his legs out underneath him. Muscular trying to throw out a punch forward, as Deku would have brought his hand up to block it. Now, as that happens, he would be sent flying, as he would have grabbed Koda in the air and stopped him from going over the cliff. Now, Deku would have gotten back up and he would turn on the Kaioken. Muscular actually being ready for this, saying that he's actually seen him before. All Might's kid. So exactly what do you plan on doing here? Well, this is going to be fun. Now, Deku, he would just be staring at him. He knows who he is, so he needs to hurry up and finish this. Deku would shout Kaioken, turning it up higher and higher, as he climbs from 1 to 10 to 20 to 30, actually getting more serious, rushing forward and trying to attack Muscular, as Muscular's arm would cover in muscle fibers and he would throw it out forwards. Deku actually being able to block it and actually barely being moved backwards, Muscular being a bit surprised. So he's gonna have to get more serious. Well, give me a good fight, kid. This kid's parents didn't. Deku's somewhat hearing that, realizing exactly what this man is. He's a killer. A bad one. Irredeemable. So, Deku, he turns on One for All, trying to give himself a power boost, actually fighting with Muscular. As he throws a punch, outwards and into Muscular's face. The punch actually does knock out one of Muscular's teeth and somewhat send him away. Muscular getting back up and covering his arms completely, up to the point where he was at in canon. Now, Deku, he would watch this, as he just gets more serious, turning up full cowling, up to as high as possible. 20 to 30%. If he stays at 40 for longer, then this could be difficult. Shit. As Deku tries doing one thing. He tries to counterbalance himself by going down from 40 and bringing One for All up, so that his body isn't just feeling the strain from his quirk, trying to balance himself out. Now, Deku would begin, as he would lunge forward, throwing a punch towards Muscular. Muscular blocking and trying to counter with his own. Now, Deku would be trying to fight with Muscular and make sure that Koda is okay. Koda would have almost been sent flying off of the cliff during one of the punches or shock waves. Deku actually having to get away from the fight and get Koda to safety, as the fight would continue. Now, Deku, he is actually at the point where he is tired and exhausted. After a bit of time, Muscular just keeps covering himself with more muscle fibers and he cannot keep this up. Exactly what is he going to do now? As he realizes exactly what he has to do. He needs to go all out. So, he would then shout Kaioken, bringing himself back up to 40 and charging up his fist. As his fist turns red with energy and starts glowing yellow. Now, as soon as that happens, Muscular, he would be going to throw a punch. It is his ending punch, as you can call it. The one that he tried to kill Deku with in canon. And Deku is just blocking it with his left hand, as he throws out his right hand with as much force as possible. As soon as his power is released, Deku sends Muscular completely away, flying into the distance. As the shockwave can be heard from everywhere in the forest. This doesn't get everyone's attention. It gets people in the nearby town attention. Because half the forest, if not most of it, there was probably an earthquake, or a hurricane or a tsunami. It's hard to tell what this damage was because you can just feel the ground shaking underneath you. That felt like a force of nature. Now, Deku, he is just standing there, as he would drop to his knee and try and gain composure. He just broke his hand, so that's bad. He also broke his arm, as he tries to bring it up and actually move it around, or at least just try and numb the pain a bit. Now, Deku, he would start running and flying, as he tries to go through the forest, helping whoever he can. He would find Tokoyami, as he does try and use his power to get his attention. He gets Tokoyami's attention as he would see Todoroki blast fire immediately at him, as he starts to calm down. Deku would then get back up on his feet, breathing very, very heavily. He is trying to stay awake, and this is getting more difficult. Todoroki would just tell him that he needs to calm down, as she would just grab his hand and actually start freezing it over. Deku actually wincing in pain at this, as he just nods, trying to think about this. If he can stay calm here, then it shows that he can do something, as the two will begin to run through the forest, helping out whoever they can and actually trying to get things sorted out. Now, with that being said, they would come across Moonfish, taking him down. Deku could have just blitzed forward and kicked him as hard as possible with his left leg, knocking out all of his teeth. The smoke gas villain, Deku, he could quite simply just, throw as much force out as he needs to and use a shockwave to get rid of the gas, so that Kendo and Tetsu Tetsu can actually take this guy down, without Tetsu Tetsu suffocating to death. Now then, they would have all arrived back at the main camp, as most of their people are safe. Now, they are trying to find out exactly where is everyone else, as they are missing two people, Katsuki Bakugo and, Tokoyami. These two are nowhere to be found. Wherever they are in the forest, as people would try and search it. The woman with the radius quirk that can tell where someone is, she cannot feel them. She can only feel one person, as we'll be introduced to Mr. Compress. He would walk out of the forest and hold these two marbles, as everyone's a bit confused. Mr. Compress saying that it was a delight, but he must be going, stepping backwards, as a portal would open. Deku, he is tired of this. He is tired of the villains just constantly trying to take them down, trying to ruin people's lives, as he would rush forward. Actually at an amazing speed, at Kaioken times 50 this time. Something his body wasn't able to handle, as he would have been right in front of the portal, right before it closes. And he would have smashed into a tree, as his body would give out on him. Deku actually lying there with a broken arm, a messed up shoulder, and anger. He just failed. He failed to protect somebody. He didn't just fail one person, he failed two, as he lays there just screaming at himself. Now then, everything would be sorted out and Deku would get his injuries patched up and somewhat healed, as you can say. Basically, he would have gotten bandages and things to cover his injuries. Well, Todoroki, she's trying to keep him calm. Deku just showing off an attitude and, emotions that people don't really see out of him a lot. Deku just seeing that they're taking away the villains and exactly trying to find Muscular. He thought that they got Muscular, but they were wheeling by something on a ambulance cart. He thought it was Muscular's body, but it was actually just Muscular's giant arm. His quirk was still affecting it. So, That's good, he guesses. He didn't kill that guy, right? Now then, that is going to be where I leave this part off, guys. And before I do go, Kitsumi. He just uploaded this on his channel not too long ago. And funny thing is, he actually gave me the script for it. So, I'm actually voicing it over on his channel. So, I would recommend you guys go over and check that out, because I actually did somewhat like the script, but he just asked me, well, I asked him if I can change a little bit of things about it. And he actually did like it, so he kept them. Now, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. This is Kirisho, signing off.